Hello,
Super.
everyone.
No, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Nope, you go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for the Nebraska Culture Change Coalition's Coffee with a Coalition. And today I am going to be speaking on a taste of satisfaction and about the dining experience our residents can have. I am going to take myself off a video because I can get distracted. So don't be offended, but I'm taking myself off. And I am going to start talking to you about the dining experience. So my name is Ardis Reed. I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist. I have worked in food service as a food service director, as well as a registered dietitian in multiple different settings: acute care, long-term care, rehab, LTAC, as you can see, school nutrition. And now I work in quality improvement as a chronic disease subject matter expert here at TMF Health Quality Institute. And I'm actually located in Northeast Texas, but I absolutely love working with everybody in Nebraska. At TMF, we work under Medicare contracts, Medicaid contracts to help improve health outcomes for Medicare beneficiaries. So you can see through my whole career, which is like 40 plus years now, I've always worked with seniors for the most part. So again, I want to talk about that dining experience. Um, there was a wise colleague of mine many years ago when I first got into the field who said, a person that's either hospitalized or in a nursing home, whatever the situation, they're not at home. They don't have a lot of control. They are told when they can go to bed, told when they get their medications, told when they can see the doctor, sometimes told when they can take a shower, and they can get really frustrated. The only thing they really have control over is their food. And so a lot of times they vent, and things that are going bad that day, they'll take it out on the food. And of course, that makes me go, well, wait a minute. I'm working really hard to make your food good. So I really want to talk about that dining experience because the opposite can also happen. If they really have a good meal, it can make the rest of that day go really well, and they don't complain about other things, and they're an easier patient or resident to take care of. So it's talking about creating that happy atmosphere. Again, I think we've been talking about this for over 20 years, but the residents, they're not patients, they're residents. So we want to treat our residents as it was their home. So just like if you were feeding your grandma or grandmother, patient, or your aunt or uncle, whatever, you want to find out what they like. I'm going to touch on fluid and hydration and talk about a little bit about skin integrity, but I really am also going to talk about the way I had my staff connect with our residents and offer a different side of supplemental nutritional support. So first I want to really talk about in-room dining. Ideally, we want everybody to get out of that room and into the dining room, but we do not realize that some people just can't. Either they have an anxiety of getting into large groups, or maybe physically they just can't get into the dining room right now. But that doesn't mean that their in-room dining experience shouldn't be good. So we want to look first at the atmosphere. I don't know about you, but I think almost everybody has, before we sit down to eat, we want to go to the restroom. We go to a restaurant, where's the restroom? We always want to take care of that before we start eating, right? It's the same if you have a resident. You want to make sure that they've been toileted, and you want to make sure you've given them good oral care. If a person has a cruddy mouth, their dentures are dirty, they have cotton mouth from the night before, that is going to affect their taste buds. They're not going to be able to taste the food, and they're not going to enjoy it, and they're probably not going to eat as much. You also want to make sure that their bedside table is clean. I don't know, in the 40 years I've been on the floor somewhere, it just drives me nuts. No offense, but that, I walk in and there's a urinal sitting on the bedside table, or some dirty towels or dirty Kleenexes, and it's all scattered. Well, how can you enjoy your food when your plate is next to like stuff like that? So it all possible. You want to remind your resident, hey, lunch is coming or breakfast is coming in 45 minutes. let's get you ready for that meal. And I know there's a lot of staffing issues, but it is workable. And you want to make sure you're positioning your patients correctly. You cannot eat a spaghetti dinner if your head of your bed is at 30 degrees. If you're having spaghetti, and it was one of those things, I always took the spaghetti noodles off and I gave like a penne or something, because you just couldn't, people can't handle those long noodles. But positioning, getting people to sit up 90 degrees in their bed, or getting them ideally to the bedside chair so they can sit. It helps with their mobility, it helps with their digestion, it helps with their appetite. And then most often now our TVs have some kind of a music channel. So put some nice music on in the background when the patient's in the room. And that will help that experience. You want to recognize the preferences. If your resident is saying, oh, I just hate this gravy all over my meatloaf. I love meatloaf, but I don't like gravy. Make a note of that. If they're having difficulties with that hand to mouth coordination, maybe we need to contact OT and share your observations again to occupational therapy for the patient care plan meeting, or ideally, with your food service staff, with your director. When we go to the dining room, which again is where we want everybody to be, again, we're looking at atmosphere. And I can tell you, between working in different nursing homes and consulting in different nursing homes, I have worked from one end of the spectrum to the other. I started this career working in a beautiful nursing home that we had linen on the tables, a baby grand piano in the dining room with a nice couch and sitting area. We had filet mignon on the menu. We had an excellent menu, and we had wait service, so residents could sit, and a waiter, would come out from the kitchen staff and take their order. But on the opposite end, I've walked into rooms, and I even had to do some, some what do you call it? Visits, I guess, visits for family members looking to see if if it was a good place for placement for a family member. And I'd walk into dining rooms that were gray and dismal, and furniture was pushed up to the side of the walls like it was a storage unit, and the curtains, the valance was kind of coming off, and it just was a cluttered mess. And I'm like, well, this is awful. Who would want to eat in this atmosphere? Look at your walls, look at your windows. You really don't need curtains on a window for privacy in in a dining room. So take them off. Maybe just put a valance. Maybe if you need some kind of trim, just put like a panel of curtain at both ends of a long window. And then your walls. If it's a dull, yucky color, think about painting. And I know everybody's budget is tight, but this is where your community groups come in. Maybe there's Habitat for Humanity groups. Maybe there's a resident's family member that owns a hardware store. Maybe there's a volunteer group, the Kiwanis or Rotary. They would come in and paint your walls. Church groups paint your walls, and get some paint donated so it's happy. Look at your table organization. Is it all in a row like a cafeteria in a school? Is it all kind of happenstance and there's no order to it? Put your tables in an organized way like a restaurant. And if possible, those that need to have assisted eating where you have a CNA helping, maybe that meal can be in another room, in an activity room or something, because when you're able to eat, when you're able to enjoy a conversation, you really don't want to have an eye to the corner of the room and there's somebody that's just really struggling. It takes away your appetite. So anybody with assisted living, ideally, if they can be placed in another room with a CNA, is better. But look at your table organization and look at your table decoration. I'm going to guess, but I think I had like 12 tables when I was running one of my better places. And Walmart usually has, and I'm not saying you have to go to Walmart, but I went to Walmart. That was the only thing in our town. I went to Walmart and I bought the holiday plastic tablecloths, not the kind that rip really easy, but the kind that have a nice felt back to them. And I would collect them. By the end of the year, I had a whole year's worth of decorated tablecloths. And so I could pull them out. And every holiday, we could decorate the tables. And we could coordinate that with the activity director so that if there was some kind of like picnic going on, I had the red and white check tablecloths for Memorial Day, 4th of July, for, Farmer Day, whatever it was. I had the tablecloths to match. And then also you can do table decorations. Again, just a little flower. It doesn't have to be fancy dancy. Maybe you have ask your activities director if maybe one of the activities the residents can make decorations for the dining room tables, or you have a volunteer women's group that could make them for you. Maybe go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and ask for some donations of flowers that they're going to throw out, and ask for them and make some cute little decorations. They don't have to be, I mean, if you have a florist, that's great, but have something so that looks fun. And then artwork on the walls. I know I keep going out to the community, but your residents are part of the community. So you want to bring the community in. If you have an art league, a junior college, a university with an art program, just a art class, ask if they would like to display their artwork in your dining room. Have them posted. You could even put little tags on them. This is painted by Ardis Reed and how much I would want to sell my painting for. Maybe it doesn't have to be painting. It could be photography. Just any kind of artistic display makes your dining room more joyous. And then people can, even your residents might say, I really like that painting. And maybe the family member wants to buy it and put it in the patient's room, or the resident's room. And again, put in some music. Now, put it in the ear of the patients or the residents that are in your dining room. I wouldn't put heavy metal in right now. Maybe in 20 years, the heavy metal will be appropriate, but make it era appropriate. And then again, before you bring them to the dining room, you want to make sure they're toileted, they've had their dental hygiene taken care of. Have somebody greet everybody when they come in. Hazel, it's good to see you this morning. Oh, Gertrude, you're back for lunch. I'm so glad you're feeling better and you've come back to the dining room for lunch. That's fantastic. Greet everybody. Just like a hostess. Well, thank you for coming. We want a hostess in our dining room as well. Look at your food placement. If your resident doesn't need the food on the tray, then take it off the tray. Sometimes it's more appropriate to leave it on the tray if there's some visual impairment, but if not, take it off the tray. And recognize their food preferences, any difficulties, and share your observations. Meeting the needs and those tastes of the residents is really a team effort, right? Well, that's an error, not before admission, because we know they're already there. But food service should be asking your residents about their preferences, their taste, what their usual meal pattern is. And it can always be changed. I used to work in the VA hospital in Long Beach, California, and I had a 190-bed nursing home attached to the hospital. And everybody wanted to change their preferences. Well, in a big dining room, I had to say, okay, I'm going to start here and I'm going to work my way around the room. You have to wait till I get to your table. And when I get to your table, you can change your preferences. And when you want to change it back, you got to wait till I get around again. But it always can be changed. Again, look for texture issues, dexterity barriers. And then if the food service hasn't picked it up, then let them know, because we really want to make sure we're meeting the residents' needs. And everybody, but especially food service, should be asking, do you like sweet? Do you like salty? Do you like savory, gravies? Do you like heavy meals, light meals? I've had patients whose taste buds have been ruined from chemotherapy, and they wanted like 10 sugar packets on their food because all they could taste was sugar. Fine, I'll put 10 packets on. Same with salt. I'll put 10 packets of salt on your tray. Sure. If that's going to help you eat, let's do it. We also want to look at, are we giving our residents enough fluids? Not only is it looking at skin integrity, but hydration helps with your appetite. It helps with digestion. If you're not drinking enough fluids, you can get constipated. So we want to look at that GI function. One of the tricks I did, I called it the 8-8, was I added 8 ounces of milk and 8 ounces of juice to every single tray for a puree and mechanical softs. Now, usually the dietitian will put 8 ounces of juice and milk on breakfast and 4 ounces of juice at lunch and dinner, and that's it. But people with puree and mechanical soft diets need more fluid. I had an amazing owner of the facility that I worked for, and I was 4 cents per person per day over budget. What do you think? 4 cents. He wanted to know where that 4 cents went. For 3 months, I looked at my invoices, trying to figure out where was that 4 cents coming from, and I realized it was from the extra fluids. But none of the residents that were on puree and mechanical soft diets that had the extra fluids had skin breakdown or weight loss. And so the owner told me that's more cost effective than wound care and weight issues. So I'm increasing your budget by 4 cents per person per meal. The other thing you can do is make fruit water. Add fruit to the clear pitchers of water and keep them, near the nurse's station or near that little cubby hole. When you see water, colorful water with fruit in it, you get thirsty. So put those out there and make them clear. Please don't use the Cambros. The Cambro brown things are very ugly. And you taste that plastic. I don't know care what you do. You taste that plastic. Think of it when you go to a hotel and they have the fruit water in the lobby. What do? You go straight to that water, go, oh, that was so refreshing. I didn't realize I was thirsty. Do the same thing in your residential area and keep some water out there. So I had a problem and I wanted to share this with you. And it's a common problem, right? I had my food service staff, and they kept saying, why do I have to do this? How come Joe needs to have his meat cut up? How come, and they were always complaining about these special items. Then I'd go out on the floors and the patients were complaining about the food. And one day I just went, ah. So I don't know why I thought of it, but it was a brilliant idea, if I do say so myself. I assigned the lead cook for each meal a wing of the building. I had 3 wings. So the breakfast cook went to the 100 wing, the lunch cook went to the 200 wing, and the dinner cook went to the 300 wing. And as soon as the meal was done, before they broke down their steam table, I asked each of them to go out and visit each patient or each resident on their wing assigned and ask them to visit the residents and see how they liked their meal. And at first there was a little bit of hesitation, but it really turned out great because the residents got to see who prepared the meal. My staff got to see why I asked for Joe's meat to be cut up, because Joe's arm was in a cast. They didn't see that. I saw it, but they didn't see it. They started having conversations with the residents and got to know the residents really well, and really started taking a more of a team effort investment in the resident. The residents better understood they liked the fact that the cook was visiting them. And if you don't see the face, you're going to complain more. But when you see the person that you want to complain about and you see their face, you tend not to complain. And so the result here, everybody was happy. My food service staff really understood why the special requests were there, and they really had a more improved job satisfaction. They really loved going out to see the residents. And of course, the next month they rotated to the other wing, and then the next month they rotated the other wing. So within 3 months, they knew all the residents in the facility. And the residents felt like people cared about them. They felt they had a voice and they felt they had input. So it really worked out well. I just want to also remind people that when you get older, our appetites do change. When we get older, We do eat better when we're not eating alone. When we're eating alone, we kind of lose our focus on eating. And so if at all possible, we want to get our residents into the dining room. We also have to remember, just because they're a resident doesn't mean they don't like to nibble on snacks. I mean, I don't know about you, but I always have a Snickers bar in the afternoon, or my neighbor comes across the street, goes in my freezer and picks out a Snickers bar for me and a Snicker bar for him, because we both work from home. So they're going to want residents, just because they're a resident doesn't mean they're not like you. Older people like to graze, right? 3 full meals a day is a lot for a senior. It's a lot for us some days. So to expect them to eat 80% or more of their meals GID sometimes just isn't realistic. And our meals, there's a lot of food in there. Another little idiosyncrasy about seniors is they don't like to eat meat. Why? They don't like it getting stuck in their teeth. So sometimes I would say, you know what? I can grind the meat up for you. If you really want to have roast beef, I can grind it up for you so you don't have to miss out eating meat. And they'll say, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want you to do something extra. Not extra at all. No problem. I got a grinder in the kitchen. Oh, okay. The other thing to realize is that your seniors are going to eat and drink less for dinner. And why? Because they don't want to bother the staff at night to get up and get in the bathroom. They don't want to have an accident and be embarrassed in the morning. They don't want to be afraid of getting out of bed and falling. So you'll see that their fluid intake and their food intake is going to be decreased in the evening meal. So now I'm going to tell you about another idea that really worked, and it's about snacks, right? So historically, and I'm sure you all can see this, we look at a resident, and we look at their intake, and if it's less than 50%, it's tagged, for the RD. We pull the lab work. We want to make sure there's no malnutrition. The dietitian comes in, looks at the lab work, looks at the intake, and I got to recommend protein shakes 3 times a day. Then the resident refuses the shakes 3 times a day. Appetite remains poor and nobody knows what to do, but they're going to get on that weight loss list or maybe even the skin integrity list. So consider this. Instead of recommending protein shakes, think of offering other calorie-rich snacks. So I pulled these prices off of Walmart, but a protein shake, even an Equate protein shake, runs between $1.80 and $2.50 per 8-ounce serving and provides between 160 and 250 calories. What we did in my facility as a trial, and then it worked so well, we did it in 10 other facilities under this corporation. We went out and bought Little Debbie's. We bought a bunch of Little Debbie's and a whole bunch of other snacks, but the Little Debbie's were the most popular. They run 18 cents to 28 cents per serving, and they have 270 to 310 calories each. So if it was just to get the calories in, they didn't have a problem with protein malnutrition. They just wanted something fun. It was much cheaper. And then we placed these snacks and liquids so that the residents had access to them in between meals. And the residents had a blast. I actually was able to design my sister had a fruit cart, an old antique fruit cart. And I brought it up and I put all these snacks on this fruit cart, had a little bell, and I wheeled it around at 10 and 2, and the nurses took care of it at HS. And it was a blast, and to the point where I would take the cart around at 2 o'clock, and this one resident, when he heard the bell, he would come rolling out of his room going, sticky bun lady, I want a sticky bun. And I loved it because I knew he was having fun, right? And the result, we had fewer cases of weight loss. People enjoyed eating their other meals. and we were saving on the budget. So other than sticky buns and Little Debbie's, we other ideas. We put Jello cups, we put pudding cups, ice cream cups, lemonade, iced tea, the little cans of soda, pastries, donuts, the fun size candy bars, cake slices. We sometimes instead of lemonade, we put Kool-Aid, little fruit cups, and a whole bunch of stuff we had. It was just anything that you got, you yourself would like. Now, I was really fortunate. The fruit cart was a hit, but then my sister wanted the fruit cart back. And so I had to go and do one of those metal 3-tiered carts. And the patients, or the residents just were not into it. So I went to the owner of the company and I said, they really want to, something fun. So as a trial, I designed a cart that was built by a group in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And they build snack carts for Knott's Berry Farm. And so I had the colors of the company, which was like a kind of an aqua and a pink. And we made a striped awning on this cart. We had the big wheels, like an old cart. We had drop-in inserts so we could put ice trays in for the ice cream. I had a little drawer that I could open up to throw the trash in. I even put the silver tubes to put the cups in up above. And I had plastic display cases up above so everybody could see the sticky buns and everything. And it was such a hit. At the time, this was over 20 years ago. At the time, it cost $2,000 a cart, which I know is a chunk of change. But the residents loved it so much. And again, we saved so much money on wound care and weight loss issues and not getting dinged for that the owner of the company went and had 9 more made for his other facilities. So I guess really what I'm suggesting here is to think out of the box. Work with your food service staff, let them become part of the team, not always behind that door, but let them become part of that team. Talk to your residents, see what they want. I know they have resident council meetings and all that kind of stuff. See how you can make it better. You can adjust your budget to make the changes. Maybe it can't be done right now, but in the next budget, make some budget adjustments. It's much cheaper to buy some clear water containers that you can ice and show off and display out in the resident areas than it is for wound care. And then really remember that providing that satisfaction, you're really going to improve your facility health outcomes. And it will, everybody goes, yeah, I'm too busy. But when the residents are happy, when they're eating well and they're occupied with their meal, then your staff can be doing other things than documenting weight loss, documenting wound care, documenting all of that, addressing all the complaints. It's much better to have them satisfied and enjoying their meals. And so for that, here is our contact information for TMF. But I appreciate y'all coming in and being with us for our Coffee with a Coalition. And with that, I will turn it back over to the coalition. Natalie, Kelly?
That was great, Ardis. Thank you.
That was really good. Yeah. I was sitting here thinking, I wonder if Ardis can come to Kearney in March of 2024 for our conference. Anyway,
maybe.
I may have to send you that info. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And for everybody on the line or whatever, I love taking care of my residents. I just, that was one thing that I do miss from working in long-term care. And the other thing is you get to work with some amazing people with amazing histories. And my staff would love it too, because I go out and talk to Ish. Y'all are too young, but one of my residents was Ish Kabibble. And he used to play the trumpet with the red suspenders, I think with Benny Goodman. And Ish Kabibble was just an amazing person. I've had silent screen stars when I worked in Palm Springs, California. I've had amazing people. I even had a resident who was a Spanish-American War veteran.
Wow.
So I love working with the residents. But with that, everybody, I hope you enjoyed Coffee with the Coalition. And I do believe we have our schedule for December and everything on our website. So keep an eye on that. And a link for this recording will be up on the website as well. Is there anything else I need to add to?
Nope, it
I
was
think
great.
you hit it all. Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
All
Great
right, everybody.
job.
Well, enjoy the afternoon. I hope you had enough coffee, and we will catch you on the next coalition.
Sounds good.
Right.
Thanks, Ardis.
Thanks,
Bye,
Ardis.
everyone.
Thank you.